We are beginning the model with the star of our show, which is Sapphire Blue True Metallic Metal by Vallejo. I am using the airbrush version because it is smoother to apply. That being said, I am applying this over a black primer, but in my experiments later on, I find that this goes over silver much better. So if you want to start with your silver base coat, I think that would be a better use of your time. As it is over the black, you're going to have to do multiple coats. As you can see, that blue is now punched in there, and I think this took about 3 coats, which isn't great, but you can definitely see how vivid and strong it is. It's a very striking color. All right, let's get some shadows in there, and for that we're going to use the shade version of the Sapphire Blue. And each of Vallejo's true metallic metal colors comes in a triad with a base, a shade, and a highlight. For this shade, we're going to apply it over the entirety of the model and let it do its job. And one of the cool things about the shades for the true metallic metal range is they don't kill the metallic shine of what you're painting it on. If you used a Warhammer color wash, then it would kill some of that shine. Now, typically when you're applying a wash, you want to avoid pooling because it could leave some weird coffee stains, but I utilize it when doing this true metallic metal just so I can have a nice, very deep contrast. Once that shade has dried, we're going to move on with the light version of Sapphire Blue and apply it as a highlight. Highlighting metallics can be a bit difficult, especially if you're working under a bright painting light, but just kind of trust your instincts and put them where you think the light would be hitting or where you would highlight if it was a not metallic color. Just remember, if you think you've over highlighted, you can just bring it back down with more of that shade or base color. Now, it might be a bit difficult to tell on camera, but you can see here why I let the highlighting on certain edges and let the shadows do the work beyond them. But in general, you're just highlighting those harder edges, those areas that are raised above the other areas. But we're not done with our highlighting. We're going to take sterling silver, or any silver you have is fine, and we're going to mix it in with that Sapphire Blue light, which is going to create this very strong ice yellow sort of color, and we're going to do some dot highlighting with that. This is a very strong color, so do minimal highlighting so that it catches the eye. And with that, the blue is complete, and you can see it's very strong and reflective, and we're going to battle that a little bit later down the line. We're going to move on to the silver, and for this you could do it as your first step and it will work out probably better. I'm going to take Vallejo Metal Colors Dark Aluminium, and this is the airbrush version. I'm going to apply it over anywhere I want silver. Once again, I'm using the airbrush version because it applies smoother, and I really like the airbrush versions of metallics for this reason. And you can see how easy it goes on. It's a really nice paint. Next, we'll move on to a black wash. I'm using the sterling silver shade, but you don't have to. You can use any black wash. And I know I said that it kills some of the shine, but that silver really isn't the star of the show, so it's not really all that important. And right here, you can see me inducing a pool just to get a little bit of a darker shadow in an area that I want. But in general, you do want to avoid pooling, and if you see it, you should clean it up before it dries. Next, we're going to move on to highlight that silver, and I'm going to be using the sterling silver light color. For this highlight, just try to follow some of those harder edges and highlight only a little bit. The silver isn't the star of the show, so you don't have to exaggerate it that much. By doing less work on your supporting colors, you can actually save yourself some time and it'll still look just as good. Next, we're going to move on to that arc reactor, and I'm going to use a pure white, bold titanium white by Pro-Acryl, and we're just going to apply it over the entire arc reactor. I airbrushed fluorescent blue on, but this was a mistake. I should have just brushed it on. I kind of wanted a little OSL effect, but it was blue on blue. It was a terrible idea. So I ended up spending time to repair the blue metallic and repaint that fluorescent blue in. So this was a lesson in just because you can doesn't mean you should. Next, we're going to move on to that skin tone. I'm going to take AK 3rd Gen's Wine Red and mix it in with Reaper's Rosy Skin. This is going to be a nice dark base with a lot of warmth into it. And if you watch my Phoenix video, I did Lady Skin there, and I started with a bright color and shaded down. And if you want to do that, that's fine too. I flip-flop on which one I do, depending on my mood. When that layer is complete, I'm going to darken it down even further with some Reikland Flesh Shade by Warhammer Color. I'm just going to apply it over all of the skin, and I'm going to rebuild some of that skin tone as we move forward to highlight. Now I'm going to do the eyes, and I'm going to do that when the skin is dark, so that way if I mess up, I won't have as much work to fix. So I'm just bracing myself against my desk, my hands are linked together with my fingers as you can see, and I'm doing some micro horizontal brush strokes as I get closer to the mini, so that way the moment my brush touches, I'm already making that brush stroke. And when you're doing this, don't be afraid to reposition to make yourself more comfortable. And when you're done, if you think it doesn't look right, you're at a stage of the skin where it's very easy to fix. And then you'll do the exact same thing with your white. Very little pressure when you're applying your brush strokes. If you do a lot of pressure, you're just gonna make a big mess. You wanna be light and faint and careful. And don't be afraid to make more than one pass. I got a little bit of white on there, but I need more, so I'll do more. And you can see that here. But then we're gonna move on back to our black, and we're just gonna try to do a little pupil. One pupil really isn't the hardest part. The hardest part is getting that second pupil in, looking at the same area that that first pupil is looking at. And I couldn't do it on camera, so you're not gonna see it. Now I fix up the face off camera, and for that I just used our base color of wine red and rosy skin. And when you're done with that, we're gonna move on to our highlight, which will be just pure rosy skin by Reaper. When you're doing lady faces, you tend to want to have less contrast than when you're doing gruff, manly dudes. So for this highlight step, I'm actually gonna be painting the majority of the face, just to get it brighter. I'm then going to do some final highlighting by taking that rosy skin and then mixing it in with fair skin highlight, also by Reaper, and just doing some very faint work. This will mostly focus on those areas catching sunlight, such as the cheek, the nose, and some of the forehead. And just a few brush strokes and I'm done with that highlight. To base that hair, I'm going to take Wild Rider Red by Warhammer Color, and we're going to just apply it over the entirety of the hair. Now this color doesn't actually apply over black super well, so thin out your paint, do multiple coats just so it's nice and smooth. Alright, and to shade our hair, we're going to take AK 3rd Gen's Dirty Red, and we're going to glaze it in at a consistency about this. I'm going to apply it over the entirety of the hair, and we will rebuild and highlight after that. I want some more striking shadows in there, so I also add some black into that dirty red, and I glaze that in as well. When doing glazes, avoid having too much paint on your brush, and we'll focus this shadow on the middle areas of the locks as well as the scalp. In here you can see it dried and how much darkness it added, which honestly wasn't a whole lot, but it was a good amount. Following that, we will rebuild with our Wild Rider Red. And we'll focus that on towards the top of the scalp, not in those crevices, as well as the edge of the locks. Next, we'll take a mixture of Orange Flare by Tooth and Coats and that Wild Rider Red, and we will highlight the same way. And always with highlighting, as you get to a brighter color, you just want to refine your strokes, highlight less, and just be cleaner if you can. And even though we haven't jumped up too bright of a color, you can really see that the contrast is making this very bright. And then we'll do a final highlight of just pure Orange Flare, and once again, just do a little bit less. And here you can see the hair is complete. It's a nice, vivid, fiery red head color. Now I said earlier we would battle the shininess of the true metallic metal, and for that I used sealant. I seal with a gloss coat and then a dull coat to really protect my models. But sealant will also help bring all of the paint in your color scheme to the same level of shininess. The left is before sealant, the right is after. Feel free to rewind to see the difference. And rescue is complete, and she's here to rescue the Avengers family from the evil Cabal attack. During my initial trials of the blue true metallic colors, I didn't really like them, and even when painting rescue, I wasn't super big on it. But after I sealed everything up and it kind of killed that shininess, I really dig it. So I hope this guide helps you decide if you want to try them and pick them up yourself, or if you just watch this because you like my content, that's great too. I appreciate all of you. I hope you like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, and I will catch you in the next one.